thank you for being here. First things first, let's ask Preacher Pat here to lead us in a prayer. Then we'll follow by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll have some opening remarks.
Yeah, stand and let's bow and have a prayer together. Gracious God, we are just so thankful that you have allowed us this huge opportunity to live in such a wonderful town as Pocahontas. Lord, we just pray that you will clear our minds and put our town in the front. Let us make good decisions. And Lord, as we make a decision on how to vote, we are thankful that we are given this opportunity, this freedom, this honor, and this privilege. So be with us now. Be with all our police officers and military. Lord, just keep them safe. And thank you again for bringing us together tonight. In your heavenly name we pray. Amen.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alan, I'm going to lay this right over here for you. Okay, like I said, thanks for being here tonight. This is a important event on both sides of the middle line here. So we have Mayor Keith Futrell and Mr. Lee Huddleston, who will be running for the office of Mayor of Pocahontas. The election is May 14th. Okay? Early voting, John Allen, correct me if I'm wrong, starts a week prior to May 14th. Yes. So those are the details for this special election. We appreciate you being here and engaging. I always like to say that on this, we did this for the judges' debate a couple of years ago here. So I like to make decisions based on more than just yard signs. Nothing against yard signs, but I think there's more to know about these candidates than what we can see driving by somebody's yard. So what I would encourage here for you as the electorate is this is a small town, and we're proud of that. We all have our personal bias, and I would not dare take that personal bias away for you and encourage you that that's a bad thing. It's a good thing. But please, in these events, let's try to add to our personal bias legitimate information that these candidates can pass along to us to make a better informed decision. Better informed decision makes us a better informed electorate, and then we can better govern ourselves as a better informed electorate. So that's the crux of the evening. The format will be pretty simple. Again, there's two candidates here, so we really want this to be dialogues and back and forth. We don't want it to cut off either candidate by slapping on a 1-minute response time or even a 2-minute there. If they have something to say, I want them to be able to complete their statement or their thought with as much time as they need. I don't suspect we have several questions, but I don't suspect this will run too long here. But the format will be they'll each make an opening remarks, and I would say, gentlemen, let's try to measure that at about 5 minutes. Okay, just an opening statement here. And then what we'll do is we'll start going into some questions. The question format has been, people have submitted questions via email and writing them in here, and I don't want to be the arbiter of those questions, so I've asked John Allen here to go through those questions, not for content, but just so that there can be a little bit of separation between the person asking the questions and where the question came from. So it's kind of a little bit of a balance there. So after the questions get asked, then the candidates can answer the question if they want to. They cannot answer the question if they want to. They can argue the opponent's statement if they want to. And on when it comes to the debate format, the best thing to do here is I make a comment, the opponent counter argument, and then I have a rebuttal to that counter argument. And that will be self-managed unless it gets to the point to where we will all recognize if this has gone past the time of reasonability, and I'll step in and say we need to move on to the next. Okay? After that segment, then we'll open up the questions to you, the audience. I think that there was a bowl out there to put questions in, write them in. You don't have to do that. You just raise your hand, and this mic cord will move pretty well, but it will, meet me halfway kind of thing. So ask any question you want. The stipulation there is this is not a personal conversation between you and the candidate. Save that for a personal conversation. This is a open opportunity for you to ask a question pertaining to this candidacy and pertaining to the office for which these two men are seeking. So that's a long way to just say, let's not get personal, people. I mean, we know that's not the right reason to have this debate. So let's keep it as relevant to the reason we are here as we can. We'll monitor that very well or very easily as well, but may step in there if something goes a little awry. Beyond that, we're going to get started here. Would like to thank John Allen and the Star Herald for sponsoring this. Ultimately, this was something that he wanted to put together for the community. So happy to do it. I'm Mark Holt. I'm with the Randolph County Chamber of Commerce, a local businessman here, and I am first and foremost a concerned citizen that wants our elected representatives to represent us first and foremost. So that's why I'm happy to do this and even honored to do this. Same with Mr. Todd Baltz of FoxLion Studios. He is responsible for everything you see here and the professional quality that it produces. It is top notch. So give a hand to Todd. There's been others. The Randolph County Chamber of Commerce has been involved in this to try to get a better production. Bobby Adams has contributed to this to make sure that it gets off the ground and we're able to do it. So that's our sponsors here. Thank you, Preacher Pat, and thank you all for coming. This is a good sign. So we'll get started again. Mr. Huddleston won the toss, so he'll give a 5-minute opening statement.
Glad to see everyone tonight. Glad to be here tonight. I want to apologize. I have succumbed to some of that allergy stuff that's going on right now around this time of year. This time of year, and I normally don't need that. I don't want to talk loud enough that people hear me anyway. Again, I'm Lee Huddleston. I born and raised here. Went away, went into the military. Came back to Pocahontas several years ago. Have lived here most of my life. In fact, maybe some of your fathers, grandfathers, I probably mowed some of your lawns during that time. My grandfather was a gardener. My wife is Kay Huddleston. We've been married almost 40 years. My daughter Whitney, son Joseph, and 5 grandchildren. In fact, Keith and I graduated from high school together. So we've known one another a long time. I have, the majority of my life, I've been in the service industry. I've served here and served there. The last 30 years of my life, I have been in the HVAC business, which is heating and cooling, keeping people comfortable, including 5 years when I spent with the Department of Defense in Iraq, serving with our troops, trying to keep them hot and cold to start with, the appropriate times, but later on then governing some areas of northern Iraq. My interest in becoming mayor of Pocahontas is twofold. One of those is I want to have the best place for my grandchildren to be raised, because I do believe that Pocahontas is the best place to be from. I love it here. I love this town. I don't know anything bad about this town. It's a good place to be from. Secondly, though, there's some changes that are going to occur in Pocahontas, Arkansas within the next 15 to 20 years. Interstate I-57 is going to come through. Now, I understand that seems like a long time, but that's not a long time when you start thinking about the infrastructure and the things that we're going to need. So the city government is going to need to get with county government. County government, we're going to need to get with the industrial complex here, the economic development complex here, get the school systems here, and we need to develop something that people are going to want to come to, a town that people are going to want to move to. The number one thing that industry looks at when they're coming into an area is labor supply. And fortunately, Pocahontas has some hardworking folks. And those are the kind of things that I'm looking to improve on, and things I'm looking to adjust, and things I'm looking to bring to the table. Some things that I did for the military. And the ability to work with varying organizations. It's one of those things, if you were ever in Iraq or ever worked with the Department of Defense, you know that you work with the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines, and then the civilians. And with all those things being said, I believe that I'm qualified to do those things tonight. And as we go through this debate, you'll learn a little more about me, what I have, what I bring to the table, and I hope that I can persuade people that I'm an option to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, John. Thank you, Lee. It's a privilege to stand here in front of you today. I look amongst this crowd, my family here, my son, my daughter, my two beautiful granddaughters. Some of my best friends are here. I look amongst the rest of the crowd. I recognize almost every face in it. The reason why I recognize almost every face in it is I've been a part of this community all my life. I've lived here since I was a small boy. Lee's correct. We graduated in 1981. I went off to college for 3 years, and like I tell everybody, I've got 9 hours to prove it while I was there. And luckily for me, I don't have a lot of education, but I got a little common sense, so I was able to come back and go to school at Black River Botech at that time and pick up the trade of being a tool maker. In my family, we've always farmed. The Futrell family has always been a pillar of this community. Southeast side of the square was the Futrell Square, Futrell Pharmacy, Futrell Hardware. Probably everybody in this room has been in one of those two buildings at least one or multiple times. I was very fortunate growing up to live in a small town as Pocahontas. When I met Shelley in Memphis, we met at college. I was lucky enough for her to marry me. We came back to Pocahontas, and after a few months of her being from Memphis, she said, "Are we always going to live in Pocahontas?" I said, "Well, Shelley, I am." And so luckily for me, she's decided to stay here too. She's had a great career as a teacher for our school system. She's affected many lives in this school. Matter of fact, a lot of kids are teaching now. Shelley had them in their class. So here, towards the end of May, she will be retiring. So good for Shelley. And here I am looking for another job. I've considered myself retired for about the last 20 years because I've got to do something for 20 years that I mortally love, and I'm not giving that up. But for the last 18 years, I've been doing something I mortally love, and that's being a big part of this community. I've got some of my fellow council members here. We've got a lot of our officers here. We've got a lot of people in this room that are part of this community also. That's why I say when I look around, I see mutual faces that at the events I attend, I see those people because they are supporters of this community. I've been very fortunate to be involved with the World of Ducks Unlimited. There's not a county in this state that I don't know somebody in. There's very few states in this United States I don't know somebody in. And I consider that a blessing. I've always tried to do exactly what I thought was right. I've always tried to make the best educated, informed decision I can when making a vote. We're lucky as a council that this city has had a good council. This city has done nothing but go forward in the last several years. And that is due to the leadership of this city. It's due to the hardworking people in this city. It's due to the companies that's wanted to come to this city to be part of the best, what we call God's country. You look on the other side of the river, you got the flatlands of the Delta. You cross the river, you got the rolling hills of the Ozarks. We had so many people here during the eclipse. As we walked around and met them, we had over 48 states we know that were represented here, 8 different countries. I was glad to tell them that I lived in Pocahontas. I was glad to tell them I was the mayor. I was glad to tell them that this is the only county in the United States that had 5 rivers in it. We even talked about the Rocking Horse and told them how that came from Pocahontas, Arkansas. Little old Pocahontas. We had between 4,500 and 5,000 people here on Monday. Monday evening, the comments that were put out, of course, I don't know anything about Facebook. I don't do it, don't believe in it much myself because there's too much negativity into it. But the positive comments that were given towards Pocahontas, towards the city of Pocahontas, towards the police officers, towards the park directors, was such a compliment for the city of Pocahontas. I haven't read a single ad yet or a post that anybody's brought me to see anything negative from the people that visit Pocahontas. So you, as the citizens of Pocahontas, you have something to be very proud of. We will always do our best on the local level to do exactly what is right for the city, because I want this to be a home for my children and my grandchildren. And so far, it's worked out well for everyone. I appreciate your coming tonight, and I know we'll have some good questions, and I believe you'll hear some good answers. And I'd like to invite you, no matter what happens, to the second Tuesday of every month to come to City Hall for your city council meeting. And then you can hear what really happens and what really goes on and not worry about reading it by somebody who don't know what they're talking about. Please come to City Hall. We would love to have to move up here to this building like we did during COVID because the crowd is so thick. The door to City Hall is always open. It has always been open. We are 100% transparent, and we will do the best to always give you the correct answer. And if we don't know that answer, we'll get it for you. So thank you.
Well done, gentlemen. Forgot to mention here, the green screen, that's for the benefit of the cameras. So this is not being live streamed or Facebook Live at the moment. What's doing is being recorded, and then Todd will take it back and button it up, whatever he does, the magic that he does. And then he will post it. He will provide that to John Allen, who will then post it through whatever methods John Allen posts it through. It will make its way to Facebook. It'll be in the form of a link to YouTube. But that's just wanted to clarify that this is not being live streamed now. It will be posted in about a week. So FYI on that. All right. So let's start with just some questions. Again, you can see the questions down here on the bench. Several of them, if you don't hear a question that you've been thinking yourself, the next segment will be you asking that question. So we'll get there. What do we got, John Allen? Just give me one at a time, if you don't mind. Okay, so on these questions, both of you can provide an answer. You can argue the other person's answer. If a point is argued, then you can rebuttal that argument. If you choose not to answer this, that's fine too. So here's the first question. What are your pros or cons or thoughts on annexation to raise the city population above 10,000. So, Lee, you took the opening statement first, so let's go with Keith here for the first answer to the annexation question. Do you want to hear it again?
I probably got it.
Okay.
And I may have to send somebody out the truck get some sunglasses because of these lights. I had some shots in my eyes yesterday, and yesterday at the Waterworks meeting, I had my glasses on because of the lights. But if you see me send somebody out, you'll know why. We are lucky. You live in a county that has 6 stoplights. The only person that does better than that is Clay County, and they've got 2. This community, we're more or less 7,300 people. You've got basically 10,000 more or less in the county. But that magic number is 10,000. 10,000 is the first magic number, and then they get as the population goes to 15, 20, and on up there, it just means more to quality of life for citizens who live there if you want to be a bigger town. We're lucky. We're working right now on a bypass, should start within the next end of 24 or 25 on the north side of Pocahontas. We're going to capture that. Waterworks, we've got plans to get a water system in there to capture that so we can provide water to people who might be using that property. We've got some low-lying fruit, if you will, that's close to the city. We've got people right now who are wanting to come into the city. We're working to annex some city property or some county property over in East Pocahontas to bring them into the city. But the number's 10,000. People always say, I had a gentleman talk about the Kubota dealership come in saying, man, we got a tractor dealership. And I said, yeah, that's great. He goes, we already got a tractor dealership. We need a restaurant. Well, we're not going to turn down anybody who wants to come to this town for a business, but we do need a restaurant. And you get your population, and those businesses will look at you. They will come because the numbers shows the justification for them to come. And when that happens, you don't have as many people traveling to get variety. That's why people drive to Jonesboro or to Paragould to go someplace to eat that's different. But we're lucky that a lot of people come to Pocahontas for the very same thing. So annexation, increasing our numbers, not only does it help you on the tax side from the state to get more revenue brought into your city, it helps you for the businesses that will look at your city. And tax dollars is what runs this city. Tax dollars is what runs this city. So that's why we preach buy at home if at all possible. But remember that. Tax dollars runs this city. And we try to do the best we can with your tax dollars.
I see no problem at all with annexation. My major concern is I don't want to see us outrun our infrastructure. It's very easy to outrun you outgrow your water supply, your sewer supply, your drainage plans. So I have no issue with, as long as we're staying within the bounds of what we have the capability of doing. I'm not necessarily always for annexation where the population is against that annexation of people that we're trying to annex in. I believe in free enterprise, and I believe in freedom as far as that goes. So I have no problem with annexation to put us over 10,000. I do want to make sure that if we do that, we do have the infrastructure ready to support those 10,000.
Well done, gentlemen. I think that if that's a sign of how this night's going to go, it's a success already. Okay, question number 2. So this time Lee will answer first. We'll take turns, go back and forth here. Do you believe our main street or downtown area is currently healthy and successful? If not, what specific steps would you take to improve its viability, the downtown?
I believe that our downtown is not the best it can be by any means because we still have open shops. I would like to see sustainable businesses come into downtown. A place that I use as an example is a place that my wife and I just moved from. Benton, Arkansas is an area we just moved from. I understand that they have 117,000 people in that county, in Saline County, compared to our population. But I believe that the downtown area is the heart of the city. I believe that with all my heart. It is the heart of the city. I would like to see a couple new restaurants come downtown. And I believe we have the restaurants and we're going to draw the people. The health of the entire community, though, is how the downtown community is. And in saying that, as long as we have vacant buildings, then we have a ways to go. Now, I believe that there are we have to do things that are sustainable. We have to do things that are it's not necessarily just a good thing to have a business that's going to come down and open up for 3 months and then close down. We need to, there needs to be some common sense and some knowledge about what our community needs before these businesses open up. Because I want folks in Doniphan or folks in Thayer, folks in Walnut Ridge and Hardy. I want them to hear about the downtown area of Pocahontas. And I want them to be a destination. But if that destination, when they get here, that business has been closed for 3 weeks, and it only stayed open for 2 months to start with, then that's not sustainable. So, yes, I do believe that there's a ways to go downtown. I do believe that the downtown area is the heart of any community. And I believe we have a ways to go in Pocahontas.
I can think back 40 years ago. I can think about Burke's when I went and got my tux to go to my senior prom. I can think about the Grahams where I bought my first 3-piece corduroy suit. I can think about our shoe store that we had downtown Pocahontas. I can think about OK Barbershop when I was just a boy and I got 3 haircuts a year at OK Barbershop. And close my eyes and see all those businesses. But then I can also close my eyes and see how there was very few things in East Pocahontas. And close my eyes and see how there was no Walmart. And close my eyes and go back to IGA where they made the best 65-cent cheeseburger you could buy in 1981. Times like that is in the past. We have people in this community. We have people at the chamber, the downtown network. We have business owners who every day plan and work and try to do something to make our downtown successful. Other people ask, well, why aren't you doing this? Believe me, those business owners, our Downtown Network Association, and our chamber are trying to do things. They're always reaching out to businesses. They're always reaching out to restaurants. They're always reaching out to a food vendor to come for an event. But something is always being done on that square. We're lucky that we have some businesses down there. Unfortunately, the ones fixed to leave the square to go to another location, not better maybe, but another location for drive-through purposes. But believe me, the downtown, Lee's right, it's very important to the city. We have such a great courthouse. You've got such a great museum. There's businesses there that are doing well, and there's going to be future businesses come. but there are people that are working to try to make that happen. Thank you.
Okay, this is for Keith first. Assess the recent performance of the Pocahontas Police Department, and if elected, would you keep it on the same direction or change course? Please tell us why.
A lot of people didn't realize how fortunate you are to live in Pocahontas and have such a great police force. You've got a great police chief. He has his staff goes above and beyond every day. And I have witnessed that more in the last 3.5 months than I have in the last 10 or 15 years, because I'm with them almost every day. The technology that they have, the things that they're doing, is most people don't know. But they are driven. They're 100% dedicated to their job. And I, as a council member, I, as the mayor for the last 3.5 months, have not had one complaint about any officer, them doing their duty. Somebody that might complain is the person that was in the wrong, but I hadn't even heard them complain. But you are very lucky to have a dedicated, truly dedicated police force. And luckily, our chief keeps his officers in good equipment, in good training, and he keeps the morale down there above and beyond. And he works every day with those guys, hand in hand. He tells me a little bit what's going on, and I appreciate that. But believe me, you've got a top-notch police force in Pocahontas, Arkansas.
Well, I'm not around the police department as much as my opponent here. Pocahontas should have the highest qualified, highest trained law enforcement agency around, because there is a police academy in Pocahontas, Arkansas, and that's a wonderful thing. 30 years ago, when I was a policeman, I had to drive to Camden, Arkansas once a week for 8 weeks, down there and back to get any training. Then we had to drive to the University of Arkansas in Little Rock to get any training. So we should have a very highly qualified police department. I will make this comment, and I make this comment toward any department. I'm just going to make it now for any other department as well. It would take me time, if elected mayor, to make any decision on making any changes. I've heard rumors that you plan on coming in and firing everyone there, and that all that is, Keith, is rumors. I give my word to this. As long as there was no misconduct involved, any department head or any employee of the city, and this includes all the other departments as well, would have 90 days after I took office before I would make any changes, because it would take me 90 days to evaluate what's going on. I thank the police officers out there, because I know the sacrifice you guys make. I know the sacrifices that the wives make when their husbands leave and walk out that door every day, and they don't know if they're going to come back or not. So I thank the police officers we have in this county or in this city. With that being said, I don't know the police department like you do, Keith, But unlike some of the rumors around town, I would give everyone a chance and would not make those changes until those changes need to be made.
Well, I think we all agree with both your positions there, that our police department is critical to the health and well-being of our city and its citizens. So we thank them for being here, thank them for their service. We're going to stick with this for a minute. So, Lee, you're going to have a chance to get right back up there. What efforts will be made to improve the current police department funding?
I got a look at the city's budget just briefly this week. I thank Clerk Teal for getting me the budget. So I just had a brief time to go over the budget. I don't believe that throwing money at any issue is always just the necessary thing, but I would like to see our police department in the city of Pocahontas the highest paid around. I still believe that policemen, let me just say this, policemen don't do the job because of money. All right, they don't do the job because of what they're paid. They do the job because of something inside their heart. And I understand that. But I would have to look at our budgetary requirements, our budgetary restraints. But seeing that our officers were the highest paid around would be number one. But number two of that would be, a number two part of that question would be, that answer would be, I would also want our officers to be the highest trained in the community or in the area. We do have a police academy here. We would need to use that resource. I have some friends down at the University of Arkansas in Little Rock in their criminal justice center, and they love having policemen come down and do extra training and special training. Many times they'll do it free of charge, just because they know that they know the budget constraints that cities have. I would be willing to use all of my contacts, but as far as answering the question, I would have to look at the budget, but I believe that our police department should be the highest paid comparatively per capita, same size city, as well as the best trained.
The city of Pocahontas has a step pay system. And what that allows us to do, as each of our officers progress from rank or time, they receive step pay to ensure that they are receiving the benefit that they should because of the way that the council has it set up for them. There again, we are fortunate that we can pay our officers well. We pay our officers. They have a retirement fund we pay into. They have a retirement fund we pay into. They have several things that's provided to them by the city for their services. It's hard to imagine that somebody does what they do. They get up every day trying to do the right thing. They get up every day wondering what that day is going to end like, or what their partner, their friend, or someone they personally know what's going to happen. It's a huge responsibility, very huge. But it provides a service. They're dedicated, just like our armed forces around the world. They're dedicated to our country. Our officers are dedicated to this city. And your Pocahontas City Council is dedicated to that police department. Let me assure you that. And if anybody would like to ask me about my past with our Pocahontas Police Department or my relationship with them outside of the office, I'd be glad to talk to you about it. Thank you.
Okay, changing directions here a little bit for this question. So these types of questions, we're not expecting any statements of fact here. These are your opinions, okay? Answer them how you feel is appropriate. This question is, has PICO been good or bad for our city? Mr. Futrell, you're up first.
Well, I can answer that real quick. Yes. Now let me elaborate on that. Frank Bigger was the mayor when this all started. Frank Bigger came to the council and said, we have got a great opportunity to get a company in this community that's going to provide hundreds of jobs, quality jobs. And he was right. PICO employs, they're our number one employer in this county. Their benefits to the people who work there are tremendous. The insurance benefit, the fact that they give them chicken every other month, just the fact that they provide them with a good livelihood for coming to work. PICO pays a bonus if the people show up to come to work. At PICO right now, son, correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all would hire another 200 people if you could find 200 people to come and go to work and stay at work with you. We're lucky that PICO chose Pocahontas, Arkansas. We're lucky that they've looked at a 60-mile radius to put in a grain crusher in Corning. They looked at Delaplane, but think about Corning and Delaplane. Corning was so far ahead of Delaplane, Corning got the grain crusher. Look at the hundreds of jobs that's provided by PICO on the outside. Look at all our farmers. We've got 600 plus chicken houses in a 60-mile radius. And most of those farmers are cattle farmers also that produce their own chicken litter that fertilize their field. And if you haven't priced fertilizer lately, commercial fertilizer, it's tremendous. It's tremendous. So they get that benefit. True, a lot of people worry about the trucks. People worry about our road system. Our roads keep getting better. Once we get the bypass finished, the trucks through downtown Pocahontas will almost be, they just almost won't be there because they'll be bypassing the downtown of Pocahontas. But yes, PICO has been a blessing to Pocahontas, Arkansas. And when they came, the city, and I'm talking about the city council and the mayor, did everything we could to help them come here. Frank Bigger got the land deal put together. The city council came up with some funds to help buy that land because we wanted them, just like any business that the city and the city council will do anything they can to get them into this community. But yes, PICO has provided a good livelihood for over 1,000 people in this surrounding area.
Mr. Huddleston.
I'm going to have an answer to that question and then a rebuttal to something Mr. Futrell said. I personally have worked at PICO. PICO's a fine establishment. I like the folks there. I believe roughly $1 million a week payroll, I think, is something that's not out of line that PICO brings into our community. I do wish that more jobs, I do wish that more citizens that were in town at the time would have accepted jobs at PICO. I do wish that that we had not have been required to import as many jobs as we've had, or as many employees as we have had. Now, one question I was asking you, Mr. Futrell, how well and how smartly are we using the tax revenue from PICO?
Well, Lee, since you've decided to come to the last two city council members and want to be mayor, the meetings there. You've sat through and listened how we go through the financials. There again, I can assure you that the tax dollars that we receive from Pico, Walmart, from any business in this town, the Pocahontas public school system, people don't think about the public school system as being a big employer. People don't think about the city of Pocahontas being a big employer, or the county government. We've got a list of the top employers in this county. They all help generate the tax dollars, and that's what I referred to earlier as tax dollars is what drives this community. On the county side, the property tax helps them also. It helps the city. Remember, it's the tax dollars. And once we get those dollars, we try to find out and figure out the best way we can use those dollars. The city's lucky. We've been involved in several grants, and I'll talk about that a little later on, some of the grants that we've got going on to help the city of Pocahontas. We use our tax dollars, and I say our, I'm talking about the city of Pocahontas. If I ever say I mean the city of Pocahontas. If I ever say we, I mean you as the city of Pocahontas. But we do our very best to utilize the tax dollars that are generated in Randolph County and the city of Pocahontas best of our ability. And there again, everything's open to the public because it belongs to you. You're welcome to see the financials at any time. I had people ask for that the other day, and we were glad to give it to them. In anything that we purchase, we make sure it's within our budget. We try to, a budget's a number. You create that number, and you try to work towards that goal to always be in the black. We had a couple of departments that we were in the red. We changed our budget so we could be in the black to operate it more efficiently. So, yes, we do a damn good job with our tax dollars.
Did you have a follow-up, Mr. Huddleston, to his rebuttal?
No, that was just the question I had.
Good. Okay, next question. What do you see as the mayor's office primary role or responsibility? What is the main driver of that seat?
The mayor's office, I had a gentleman say something to me the other day, and it really struck home. He said, the mayor, he truly is the number one peacekeeper in the city. You've got your chief of police. You've got your head of your street department. You've got your head of your parks department. You've got your head of the fire department. You've got all these chiefs that come to you and talk to you and tell you what's going on. The mayor's kind of like, in this gymnasium, the referee, if you will. The referee, half the crowd loves him half the time. The other half loves him and hates him the other half the time. But the number one role of the mayor is to listen to his department heads, because believe me, they know a lot more about it than the mayor. And then when he gets informed to that decision, he tries to make the best decision. He tries to rely on his counsel to get back with his heads, to get back with his people that's called in. They called in and want to know if we could turn the lights off in the city during the eclipse. Well, you had to explain those people that those lights are on a sensor. When it gets dark, the lights come on. When sun comes up, the lights go back off. Those are sensors. We don't have a master switch. The mayor's office doesn't have a master switch. We've got a crew of chiefs that help the mayor do the best job he can do and be the best peacekeeper in the city of Pocahontas.
And Keith, right there, you and I have to agree on that. I had over 7,000 employees that reported back to my office, Chief of Service office, when I was in northern Iraq. Had a territory from just north of Baghdad all the way to Turkey that my office is responsible for. 13 superintendents, like you have chiefs. And I agree with you. You live and die by the quality of people around you. Absolutely. And that's why I say the 90 days if elected, the 90 days that I would want to see the performance of those around me. The people around you, they have to be doing their job, because if they don't do their job, you can't do your job. And it's very important that you have those good people that are there. I had, of my superintendents, I had 13 superintendents. I had 11 very good ones and 2 really bad ones. And that's another story for another day. But I agree with you. It's your department heads absolutely make your job or break your job.
Mr. Huddleston and then Mr. Futrell. How do you plan to balance the needs of the town with the concerns of the city council? How will you convince the city council to go along with new or something that is not what we've always done before?
Where I work right now, I'm the director of services for HydroTemp. And the words I hate worse than anything else in the world is when I go ask someone what's going on, the first thing they tell me is, well, that's the way we've always done it. I don't believe in that, that's the way we've always done it. If the way we've always done it is the best way to do something, then I have no problem with continuing that, going on down that same path. But I can be very persuasive when I feel that I'm right. And if I feel that I'm right, you're going to have to show me that I'm wrong. City council or citizen or whatever, if you're going to have to show me that I'm wrong, especially if it's something, I'm not an expert at very many things. There are a few things I am an expert at. Heating and air, I'm an expert at certain things. And you're going to have to convince me that I'm wrong with those things. But I believe the power of persuasion comes from just being on the right side of the argument. And that's how you persuade a crowd.
The mayor serves at the will of the council. Pocahontas has 6 council members. The mayor, let me repeat that, the mayor serves at the will of the council. The mayor sometimes is more informed, so the mayor tries to pass that on to the council to help them make their best decision on what any issue might be. You have 6 council members. The only time the mayor makes a true decision is when you have a tie. He casts the deciding vote by voting for it. If he doesn't vote for it, it fails. But always remember, your mayor serves at the will of the council. The mayor has a lot of executive power, things he can do. But the council has a lot of power that override the decision of the mayor. Our council, some of them you see once a week, 3 times a week. They call you every day. They text you every day. They email you something because they want to know what's going on. We try, and when I say we, I'm talking about downtown City of Pocahontas. We try to keep them informed so they can make the best decision they can. And if we have somebody, if there is a discrepancy in any situation, we always make sure we try to answer their questions. You know, we have a lot of votes that's unanimous across the board. But we have some votes that you'll have some council members that vote for it and some vote against it. But there's only been a few times that the mayor had to step in and make the deciding vote because the council rules.
We'll do a couple more questions in this format. This question has to do with legacy, and we appreciate Stephanie and Parker and the Sutton family being here tonight. We lost Mayor Sutton too early, and therefore this special election is to fill that seat that he left here with, I believe, 2 years left on that term that we, the people, elected him. 3 years. Thank you. 3 years remaining on his term that we elected Mayor Sutton to, gave him a mandate to pursue his goals as mayor of Pocahontas. So in that light, the question is, if you are elected mayor and have completed all the projects that you know of that Mayor Sutton was working on, what are some of the projects that you want to see take place in Pocahontas, both in continuing in that legacy that Mayor Sutton started and building on that under your office? So I forget who's, I think it's Mr. Futrell.
You know, it's always tough when you talk about this subject because we were so close. Mayor Sutton was always trying to do the very best he could for Pocahontas. One of the biggest issues that Mayor Sutton had, that Councilman Futrell had, that Councilman Alvey had, that Councilman Camp had, we wanted to do our best to clean up Pocahontas. So, to this day, we're still working on that. We don't want to be like Blyville or Osceola, get into a blight situation. We've got some homes that are just 100% need to be raised. We're tackling, with the help of our city attorney, we're tackling those as we go. Our code enforcement officers, they're doing their best to research to see who owns these homes. Some people don't answer a certified letter, so you have to go and do a little more. If you drove out by Country Club Road lately, drive by the Superior Building and see what that looks like. David DeBent worked very hard to find the actual owners of that building so that we could finally get that cleaned up. Luckily, the fire department, we have a fine fire training school here. We're able to have some exercises to burn some homes, to bring them down, and help the people who can't afford to totally do away with that home. But yet, once it gets down, we can help them some way to get it hauled off, cleaned up, because we don't want you as a neighbor living by something that brings your property value down. I don't want to live by it, so I don't want you to have to live by it. We have done the best. Mayor Sutton did his best to make sure that our street department, our fire department, our police department had up-to-date equipment. And with the help of the council, with the help of our tax dollars, we've tried to make sure of that. I've told Jeremy many times, and when his predecessor there, Judge Ben Wicker, was there, I always told him, the answer is always no unless you ask. Remember that. It's always no unless you ask. And for some way we can do it to improve your department, that's exactly what Mayor Sutton wanted to do. And that's exactly what the council always tried to follow his leadership into doing. And I stand before you today and tell you that's exactly how I feel about Pocahontas. What we can do, we're going to do. What we can afford, we're going to afford. And what we can't afford, we'll have to do without. We'd like to have a new trash truck. The last truck we bought was $330,000. You see that big dumpster truck running around? $330,000. The other trucks we had, you couldn't keep them manned. Because think about it, when it's 110, you're on the back of that truck. Or when it's 15, you were on the back of that truck. The way the trash was before was littering our city, literally littering our city because of the way the people were handling it. So we went to a can system, a huge can. We still have a minority of people who abuse it, but they're slowly overcoming the abuse of it. But it has made a difference. We would love to have a new trash truck. $410,000 in the last 2 years. They've gone up $80,000. You know what? We're going to get by with the one we got right now for a while. But again, I plan to do exactly what Mayor Sutton had going on. Come May the 11th, we will be through with our shooting sports field, our range. It is such a quality range. We have people, matter of fact, they were here again today, that drive from Manila to come here. They bypass Jonesboro to come here. The mayor, Hillary Adams from Mountain Home, was here last week. He came up for the leader graduation because he had officers. He wanted to come meet with our chief and me and go out to our range because he wants one like Pocahontas. Mayor Harold Copenhaver in Jonesboro has told me time and time again, he told Mayor Sutton time and time again, I'll trade my range for yours any day. It's how, if you haven't been out there, you need to go out there and see it. If you want to come out there on May the 11th, and when we're going to name it, the Keith Sutton Five Rivers Shooting Range. Thank you.
Keith, I understand the emotion that comes when you start talking about Mayor Sutton. I didn't know him as well in recent years as I did in younger years. When we were kids, we played together and things like that. So I didn't know him then. I didn't know him when he was in politics. I didn't know him after he became mayor. I knew him as a businessman. I knew him as a businessman when I was a businessman, and that's how I knew him. I believe he did some great things for the city of Pocahontas. If nothing else, the Christmas decorations that we see as we come in each year are one of the things that just bring joy to my heart, bring joy to my children, my grandchildren. So those things I see. And I, too, as I've been traveling around and walking around town visiting people, one of the first things people bring to me is the city needs to be cleaned up. You know, the city needs to be cleaned up. And I know from those city council meetings I've been to that David DeMint and some other folks are working hard to do that. I think at some point we're going to reach a point, at least a breakover point of where we're not behind on the cleanups. And once that occurs, I would like to see something done to keep our young people here, something done recreationally to keep our young people here. Something that even if we do something with the county, we do have the only county in the United States to have 5 rivers in the same county, and that's something that can be. I want to use the word exploited, but it is something that can be exploited for our benefit. But we need to do something to keep our young people here. We need to do something to keep our young people entertained. And those are the things we need to look at. Look at keeping our young people here, keeping our young people employed, and keeping our young people entertained. After we finish those things that Keith Sutton would want us
to do. I guess you call it a rebuttal. Is that what you're looking for?
Whatever you'd like.
I'd like to say to my opponent, the reason why you don't know anything about Keith Sutton in his later life is because you haven't been involved in Pocahontas. and that's the fact and the matter of the business. If you didn't know Keith Sutton was such a successful person. You knew him growing up. He was a class behind us, true. That's 40 years ago. But you stood right here and said you didn't know him in the later life. But yet you want to be the mayor of Pocahontas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's exactly it. Because what I have done in later life is I've ran a business. All right. Keith was fortunate enough to be able to sell his business, to move into the political side of things, and that's fine. I haven't reached that point until now where I can leave my business, step away from business, and move into politics. That's the difference in us. That's the difference between you and I and that. I haven't been able to be in office for 18 years. I haven't been able to do that. All right? I've spent 5 years overseas working with the troops. I did those things. All right? I have been in business during that time. All right? So I haven't been on the political side. You're correct there. All right? But that doesn't disqualify me from joining this little club now.
Okay, this will be the last question in this particular format. Then we'll move on to audience questions. So some of my bias coming through here. Gentlemen, what are your plans for the Chamber of Commerce? I'll back that up. What are your thoughts on the viability of the Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Network, and all of our civic organizations, not the charities, not the nonprofits, but our civic organizations that are involved in the every day involved in business, politics, faith, community, culture, tourism? These public bodies here, the Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Network, what is your thought on their viability? What are your plans of actions to work with these entities should you become elected? And brass tacks, do you agree that these are important entities to have working and thriving in our community?
Mark, I believe these are all important entities. All right? And I think that what we have to do, we almost have to hold hands with one another so we know what's going on at all times, that our whole effort here, our whole effort in all these communities and all these things, Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Association, everything except the charities, all these things are to do the best for the city of Pocahontas, to make the best town, create the best town that we can have. So in order to do that, your goals have to be very similar. And to do that, you have to communicate. Sometimes you may have to communicate daily. You may have to be, at their meetings. They have to be at your meetings. All those things. When I left, when I was in Iraq, I had a meeting every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I can't really explain everything that was going on, but General David Petraeus would start the meeting out. And he would tell us operationally what was going on that day. And then we would move from point to point to point of the areas that was going, all the way down to the MWR, which was the Mayoral Welfare and Recreation Center, all the way down to the people playing pool. So you went from the operations that the general was going to do in getting rid of bad guys, all the way down to who was going to, the pool tournament. But all those things had to work together, hand in hand, with what was going on, or it was not successful.
The city helps fund the chamber. We help fund the Brad Association. We help fund the Eddie Mae Heron Center. We help fund the downtown Randolph County Museum. I don't think we help fund the downtown network, do we, Nathan? By $5,000. But the chamber, we do quite a bit more. The city always looks at the return that we get for our investment into each one of those businesses, each one of those groups. You've got a great chamber. They were very lucky in the last month and a half to come across a young lady who is going to be an asset to the chamber. She has a grant writing background. She came to the council Tuesday night and told about a couple grants that she's looking to work on. I had one come across the desk today. I sent it to Chief Eddington. It's a grant for our police officers. But everything in this community, majority of it, is volunteer driven. The chamber board, they don't receive compensation for being on that board. The downtown network doesn't receive compensation. They're a group of volunteers who come together to do the best job they can. You've got the Kiwanis, you've got Rotary. Everybody's involved in what's going on with this community. And they're 100% all volunteers. None of them have a paid position. We support it because of the activities they do needs the financial support. The council votes on how much to support each group, and we try to do the maximum that we can every year. So yes, it's true. It's very true that they need to work together for the betterment of Pocahontas, and I believe they do.
We appreciate both of you for those answers. Thank you for the support. I'm sure the Downtown Network agrees. Okay, so we're going to move to the next segment here. They set a really good tone here for how this debate should be conducted. So let's carry that forward here with the audience questions. Who has one? Who would like to ask a question? I'll meet you about halfway. Got a long cord. There's Mr. Palmer.
Keith, what have you accomplished? What have you accomplished in 18 years on the council that retains small businesses and companies of medium size in this city and this county?
What have we accomplished while I've been on the council to retain businesses here? Anytime a business that wanted to be in this community came to the council, we did our best to help them as long as it was to benefit the city. I don't know of any company, small, that came to the council who needed something that didn't get it. And I say small. The only person that I know that didn't like a decision that city council made was yourself. Anyway, you're the only one that I know of that didn't like the decision the council made. Any other business that's come, we have always tried. We were willing to work with you, but it wasn't able to be worked. You can ask anybody who's on the council they'll tell you the same thing. Anybody here that doesn't know the history of it, I'll be glad to talk to you about it after the meeting. Not going to bring it up here. It's like I tried to talk to you the other day and you turned around and walked away, said, I don't want to talk to you. You didn't eat. Yes, you did, Gary. No, I don't want to get carried away. But anyway, sir, you asked me the question, you asked me the question, I'm giving you the answer. No. You asked me the question, I'm giving you the answer. It may not be the one you want, but it's the one you're going to hear. I'm not making it personal. Anyway, any business that's come to Pocahontas, the council could help, we have done it. I know when the ambulance service came in, because we went out and found an ambulance service that would give us what we asked for, They came, and it's been a successful business. Like I said, Pico came. We did our best with them, and they're a multi-million-dollar organization. And what little we could do, the drop in the bucket we could do, we did it. There's other businesses here. Black River Commodities, they have a lot of employees. We're doing some things with them right now. We're helping them with some warehousing because we're trying to make it better for Pocahontas and for Black River Commodities to have an established business here. And they're going to be established, and they're tickled to death with what the city of Pocahontas is doing for them. We have other businesses right now. I promise you, if I had 3 buildings that was 100, and I say again, remember, I mean Pocahontas. If I had 3 buildings of 100,000 square foot, we could have them in there tomorrow. Not a question. Because they want to come to Pocahontas. And the council wants to help them to come to Pocahontas. I cannot hear you. We are, yes, sir. We're fixing to be in a lawsuit with a company called New View, who were originally Pinnacle, who went out of business. They came to the council and gave us some projections. And after 3 meetings, every time we had a meeting, the projection kept going down and going down and going down. The council had a special called meeting. They came to an agreement, and a vote was taken. And the decision was made to enter into an agreement with the company called New View. Now, I'm not going to say more than I have to, and Joe, you holler if I'm doing something wrong, because I'll quit. But like I said, I don't have anything to hide about it. But according to state law, you have to have a resolution to the agreement for it to be legal. At the time of the council meeting, a resolution was not established. So the agreement was not worth the paper it was wrote on because there was not a resolution established for the deal. So, yes, we're going to be in a lawsuit over it. Yes, we have legal counsel. Yes, we feel we're in the right because of the state law.
Who else has a question for these candidates? Either or both? Who else? Anyone? Are we sure? There he is.
Can't let this go yet. Lee, my question is 2-part. I don't have Facebook either, but I was shown a post at some point in time where, and I want to be fair about this to you, that you were gauging support for a metro police department, which would, in effect, abolish the Pocahontas City Police Department. If elected, is that something that you would support? And I'll go ahead and let you answer that question, and I have one more after that, if I could.
I did not. I did not receive favorable recommendations for that. All right, John. What I thought that I would see in that, and I talked to Alan Cockrell, who's the chief of police at Batesville. I went to the police academy with Alan. Alan's the first chief of police that Batesville ever had. Independence County had a metro organization prior to that. And after talking with him, hearing some of the downside of that, ideally, having a metro police force, you would do away with administrative fees and redundant administrative fees and things like that. And you don't have the same, you're not doing the same thing twice. All right. But the problem becomes if you have a bad sheriff, or, if a bad sheriff becomes elected. Now, I'm not saying that I think Kevin's a great guy. Randolph County's always had great sheriffs. Or if you had a bad chief of police, either 2 of those could derail you So that was something that I would not pursue. No, sir.
Thank you. My other question is, from everything that I've heard about your platform, your campaign, you have said that you should be elected for change. And as I've sat here tonight, I haven't heard anything specifically about what you would change. And my question is, if you're elected, what changes would you make?
Specific changes that I would make, John, I can't go into all of them right now. Just small things is, when we look at the downtown area, all right, I would try to, I have contacts in the Little Rock area that they do area developments, small town developments. One of the guys' name is, and it escapes me right now, is Raj Sheikh something, but does small town development. But what he looks at, he does research before he develops a business in an area. And those are is one thing I would try to do is find sustainable businesses for the downtown area, because like I said, I believe the downtown is the heart of the city. All right, and that's one of the changes I would make. That's just one of them. There are many things that I would like to see changed as far as that goes. I would like to see more than 286 people vote in a special election. All right, the last special election that was held here for a sales tax measure, I think 286 people voted. So I would like to see more interest in civics. And Keith, that includes me. That includes me, because you brought that up. That includes me. All right. Learning more about the civics of the matter. But I would like to see more civil engagement in the city of Pocahontas. Enough, sir.
Any other questions from the audience before we move on to closing comments?
The investors that I know and all the investors around, and I'm concentrating on restaurants at this time. And your name was Bob. Bob, the investors that I have dealt with, they primarily deal with the restaurant business. All right. And if they come in and do an analysis, and they come in and look the place over and see that they're going to make money, then they're going to invest. They're in the business to make money. So that's the thing that drives that part of the investment is they're not going to come in and throw money into nothing. And so many times, what we see is that someone comes in, they open a business, and before 3 people know the business is open in Thayer or, again, Doniphan or Corning or whoever, then it's closed again. And that's a problem. So it's going to be wise investments. It just can't be fly by night things. And again, the folks that I know, the folks that I have dealt with, they have made these things work because they're not going to throw their money away. The folks that I have seen these work with, they have the knowledge of knowing what it's going to take to make money, of what it's going to take to sustain these things. We both if you're in the food industry, you understand that the profit margin of a restaurant is so small to start with. It's hard to get that started. So there may be things, incentives that us as a city we would have to do to help them initially. Now I'm talking about initially. I'm not talking about long term, but things we might have to do to help them initially. Give them a tax break on for 90 days. Give them a tax break for 180 days. Something such as that. Things that will help them. That will help that meet that. See if they're going to make it that first 180 days. That's the type thing, Bob.
Things that help communities, things that help downtowns are draws. Unfortunately, we don't have much of a draw for downtown Pocahontas. I know you are working very hard to create such a draw. And when you get done, I was in your establishment and I told you that it would be successful. And once you're successful, it's going to create a draw. It's going to make more people want to come to that area because of the success of a business. The draw is the important thing. What makes those people want to come, establish a business, and it makes their patrons want to come to them. So once that's up and running, I believe you will see a difference in what happens downtown. We talk, every politician you'll ever see, they'll always talk about, we need jobs, we need jobs. It's true. We need jobs. There is 10,000 communities begging one person to come to their community. They come in, they look at your education system. Pocahontas and Randolph County's got it. We got a great public school system. We've got a great college. We've got a great hospital. And I hope y'all understand what a blessing it is that 4 years or almost 6 years ago now that St. Bernard's walked in this community and took a huge burden off our back because they saw the need. They saw where they could help. They saw where they could be a benefit to Pocahontas. And they have been more benefit than people give them credit for. But again, it's that draw. You've got to have that draw.
Okay, unless either of you volunteer to go first on the closing comments, I see no more fair way than to do another coin toss. You called it last time. Let's have you call it this time, Lee. Heads or tails? It is tails. You want to go first or second?
Folks, I stand here tonight. Again, I start this the same way or end this the same way as I started. Keith and I have been friends for 40 years, 50 years. At the end of this,
I'm fixing to be 61.
I'm 61. I'm 61. He and I are going to end.
In case y'all wondering,
he and I are going to end friends. It doesn't matter. He and I are going to end friends. Now, you are going to have a visitor at the city council meetings a lot more often if you are reelected. All right? What my suspicion is, though, and what my hopes are, that he will be sitting to the right side of me as a city councilman as I'm elected mayor. Like I said, it's very, very short and very sweet here. Folks, I've had experience in Pocahontas. I've had experience in other cities around the United States. And I've had experience internationally. I've worked out of Kuwait. I've worked out of Dubai. And then spent a lot of time in that nasty country of Iraq. And in all of those, I gained knowledge. I gained knowledge to bring back home. I've gained experience to bring back home. And I'm bringing those things back home. This is home. And I have, budgetary things such as that. One of our budgets in Iraq was $250 million. Those are just crazy numbers. But those are, when you're working for the federal government, those are things that happen. But I want to make a pledge tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to my opponent. I pledge tonight that if I'm elected your next mayor, you will get, I'm 61 years old now, you will get 100% of what I have. You will get 100% of my time, 100% of my experience. This is going to be the only job that I have, will be being the mayor of Pocahontas. Thank everyone, and please get out and vote.
I don't think I need these, but I'm going to put them on in case I need to look down here at something I forgot to say. As I stand here before you tonight, I want you to know that I truly am the best candidate standing up here for the position of Mayor of Pocahontas. I truly am. I've got the most experience. I've served this city and city council now for 18 years. I've worked alongside 4 different mayors. In my 18 years of commitment to this city, I'm selling myself to you now. In 18 years of the commitment to this city, I have missed 2 council member meetings, regular called and special, in 18 years. I think that says something about my commitment. The first one I missed, I was in Mexico with Tom Baker looking at another ranch. We couldn't avoid that trip. The second one I missed, I was in California with Stan and Andrew Molesky. We were scheduled to fly home on a Monday so I could be here on Tuesday we changed all our plans on our trip so I could be here on Tuesday night for my council meeting. But we got involved in what was called the Delta debacle. Shelley and I flew to Minnesota, Stan and Andrew flew to Atlanta, Joy and Ivy flew to Austin, Texas. Everybody went our different ways. We had one vehicle back at Memphis. Shelley and I didn't get in Memphis till late on Tuesday. But that is the commitment I've made to you. I'm not looking for a job. I'm doing this because I love Pocahontas. And truly, you know that I've had Buck Hollow Ranch for the last 20 years. It has been a great success. 10 years ago, I couldn't have done this. But today I can. I was very honored when the council asked me to become the mayor on December the 28th. I've been very honored to be the mayor since December the 28th. I haven't missed a lick at Buck Hollow Ranch. I haven't missed a lick at my Ducks Unlimited life. I haven't missed a lick with my wife, my son, my daughter, my grandchildren. Because I am committed. Like I said, I'm not doing it for a job. I'm doing it for Pocahontas. But again, I'm up here to sell myself to you. I am the best candidate standing in front of you today. And I am truly the most legal candidate standing in front of you today. Thank you.
Well, I don't envy the larger towns and communities that have to elect their city officials and their mayors and their clerks and treasurers off of some TV ad or some glorified yard sign. But I am proud that we as a community, we as Pocahontas citizens, can call our candidates to us and call them to give us a reason to vote for them. We are making them earn our support. And I see no better way to put somebody in a leadership position than that. So I commend both you, Mr. Huddleston, and you, Mr. Futrell. Thank you for your time and effort. Thank you for your dedication to our fine community. Thank you for being here tonight. Same to the audience. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening. Thank you for caring about what goes on in our little corner of the world. Please get home safe. I'm certain that these candidates would love to meet with you on a one-on-one basis. If you want to exchange phone numbers, have more to talk about privately, this is the season to do that. So please feel free to walk up, shake a hand, and thank you for coming here. This concludes the evening. Have a good night.